we all have our own red flags. And some of us are blind to it. And so if you're still single but you've been actively searching, maybe there are a few things or many things that you have yet to work on so that you can attract the right type of woman.
Most men, without them even knowing it, it's the pride that gets in the way na, "Ay, hindi, wala naman akong problema eh. Siya yung may problema." I'd rather be patient, work on myself, and trust on God first, work with my relationship with God before I pursue someone.
The people that you will attract also into your life will be like you. So the more broken you are, the more broken people you will attract to yourself. But the more healed you are, the more mature you are, the more mature and healed people you will also attract to yourself.
Before we continue, our team showed us this, and I think you're going to find it really interesting. 80% of our viewers so far have not yet subscribed. I want you to give us just really quickly a little time to share. This channel is not made for us. It's not made so that we can become famous. This channel was designed specifically to impact Filipino young men and one day impact the Philippines as a whole. And so maybe this is the only episode you've seen. Maybe you are following our episodes. But I know for sure that you want to see change happen in our nation. And so the one small thing you can do that will literally take you only 1 second to click down here is to subscribe to our channel. That's going to help us push this video and our channel to more Filipino men who actually want to grow their character. And I promise you one thing. If you click that subscribe button, we will show up every single week to come up with the best content, transformative content, and offer authentic mentorship so that we can do our small part in changing this country. And clicking this button down here is your small part in helping changing this country as well. Now let's get back to the episode. Welcome back to No Man Left Behind, the #1 podcast for Filipino men.
I have a question for you. What if you don't have anyone in your life right now? You're completely single. Do you feel like something's missing, something's wrong, something's broken? If you are single right now, do you feel like this is a season that you have to rush right through, get out of it as soon as possible, get into a relationship? Or could it be that perhaps nothing's broken, but this is a season that's really more like an assignment? Something or a season in your life that you need to go through, not rush out of. That's what we're going to be talking about today.
And today we're going to answer the top most asked questions about this topic. Why am I still single? How do I know if I'm called to singleness or this is just a season? What does the Bible actually say about being single? What should I actually work on before I start dating again? Am I actually ready for a relationship, or do I just want to stop being single? What's the actual difference between being alone or feeling lonely? How do I stay content while single and not giving up on a relationship? How do I stop feeling behind everyone else who's already married or in a relationship? And why do I keep ignoring red flags just so that I don't remain single? So somewhere right now, there is a guy lying awake wondering, what's wrong with me? Why am I still single? I'm already this age. My friends have girlfriends. Some of my friends are getting married. And they're wondering to themselves, is there something wrong with me or is there something missing? And it's interesting because 56% of Gen Z adults aged 18 to 29 are single, the highest single and not looking rate ever recorded for that age group. 86% of Gen Z adults who are single say they do want to be able to find a committed relationship. And just so you know, we're not judging. Our friend over here is Gen Z too.
That's one of the biggest things that I learned so far, that I am part of the Gen Z. No, I'm the last straw of the Gen Z. The first pala.
First.
I'm the first straw of the Gen Z, and he's the last straw of the millennials.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're right in between.
So
both
I'm representing you
generations.
guys, ha? So walang ano dito. Walang magko-comment
No
na.
judgments.
No judgment.
We're not here to judge anyone. We just want to be able to deal with this issue of being single.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they tend to judge people who are single. And some people, whether it's Gen Z or millennials, we all have different reasons why certain people are single. Some are really happy being single. They're
Yes.
comfortable with it. Some feel like they have a problem with them. And so we want to cover the first question that most people ask, and it's the number one question. Why am I still single? What do you guys think?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, I want to, whoever may have asked that question, I don't want it. I don't want to answer that question as though it's something bad. Like, why am I still single?
Right.
Because I shouldn't still be single, right? I want to say, first of all, that everyone, and this might be news to you guys, okay, or even to those watching us, everyone is born single. So it's not wrong, right? It's not wrong to be single. But when you add the word still, why am I still single? Okay, then that's where now the nuance of being single, maybe because you're in your 30s or even 40s or even later, right? And you're still single, then it's still not wrong. That's really what I want to get across right off the bat. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being single. It's not a sin to remain single, even for the rest of your life, if that's your choice. Okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong like that. There is no command in the Bible that says you must be married by X age. Right? So I just want to get that out there because some of you might be feeling like maybe God is displeased with me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe there's, something in my head, my emotions, or whatever. There may be other underlying reasons, but just the idea of being single by itself, there's nothing wrong with that. I
Great
just want to
point.
point that out.
Well,
Okay?
Chester, who
Yeah.
is single,
Well, that's what you think. No, just
Bakit
kidding.
hindi ba?
I am really single.
Chester, why are you still single? No,
That's
I'm
a
kidding.
very good question. No.
What's your answer
Sige,
to this
sige.
question?
I think among the three of us, I can be the one to relate to this topic the most. No. Okay. It's not that I have not met these beautiful and godly women, but I realized that the problem is me. It's not them. Based from experience, and I don't know if men can relate to this. No, I'm sure some men can relate to this. Is that when I already have that opportunity to pursue someone who's beautiful, godly, wife material, I'm not able to handle that type of relationship, that commitment, because as someone who is single, I don't really have the full picture of what it takes to take care of that relationship. So it ends up, if they're getting too close already, like things are starting to get serious, I panic and I leave. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, it's a reflection of my character because I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think, Tito? Is that something that
That's true.
am I the
think-
problem?
Yes.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. There's that whether it's a fear of commitment, a fear that they might fail, and be the cause of potential breakup even before the relationship has started, and it could be because not just you but many others, myself included, when I was single, that I was scared of commitment. I was scared that I would destroy this relationship because I saw how my parents were.
Right.
They were constantly fighting, and then they would say they love each other, they loved us, their kids, but they were always fighting. And I grew up in a very violent family, so I was scared that I might become that way with my girlfriend or later on with my wife and kids. And so it's a real fear, and a lot of people, I think, can relate to that. seeing all these failed relationships, not just your parents. Maybe your parents are really good, but it might be other people that you respect, people that you know that are close to you, and went through that relationship. And so it's fear that's driving them to pull away before they get hurt or they hurt others. Usually it's because they don't want to get hurt.
Right.
Interesting.
But I have a question, Dito. How did you break out of that mindset na, you're scared to handle a relationship because you did not want to replicate what your parents did?
Mine was a very difficult journey because I thought at one point I was ready to get married, so I did. But if I look at it objectively, I wasn't. And so the first 10 years of my marriage was really hell on earth. It was really hard. And if not for the grace of God, my wife and I would have walked away along many times. We were tempted to just walk away. But really, God's grace just kept us together until we got our breakthrough 2 weeks before our 10th anniversary. But we were constantly fighting. The very thing that I was afraid of was the very thing that I was doing. But I needed a spiritual breakthrough. That was my journey. That might not be for everyone.
Now, see, the way you guys addressed this particular question, it's more in terms of the men who are not actively searching because they feel like there's something wrong with them that they need
Yes.
to work on.
Yes.
Right? But there are a lot of men out here who are actively seeking for relationships, and they're probably wondering to themselves, what's wrong with me? Like, why doesn't anyone want to be with me? And I think to answer that question, not to judge, I'll try to say this as graciously as I can because I've been there. I think a lot of us do carry our own baggage. We all have our own red flags. And some of us are blind to it. And so if you're still single but you've been actively searching, maybe there are a few things or many things that you have yet to work on so that you can attract the right type of woman.
Yeah, and I want to relate to that also. Because the biggest thing that pushed me to grow into becoming that person worthy to be dated, worthy to become a husband, is to accept my flaws. So with what you said, I think most men, without them even knowing it, it's the pride that gets in the way na. Ay, hindi, wala naman akong problema eh. Siya yung
Yeah.
may problema. Kaya, hindi, it's
Parang take it or leave
oh,
it.
take it or leave it. Ganito
leave
talaga.
it.
Hindi. But then, these women, especially these women who are, who know what they want a man of value, iwanan ka talaga niyan. They'll really leave you.
They
and
won't settle.
They won't settle. And why would they? Diba? I understand rin eh. I understand. So I think it's
Yeah.
the pride and the ego of men.
In our case, we're looking at, of course, from the men's perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is a podcast for men. And the women also will obviously have their own problems. So we might be, or well, not me, but single men might be looking for women and they see someone physically their type, but maybe emotionally, intellectually, or whatever, other parts of them, the woman might not be prepared. But they look the type. And so they go after that person, but that person's the one that's backing out. You know? So that's another thing. So it's not like it's always that there's something wrong with a man.
Right.
Because in a relationship, you have to have two people. But here's the thing. You are only responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? For developing yourself, growing yourself, overcoming your own traumas, your hurts, your disappointments, and so on and so forth. You can't do that for someone else. But here's good news. As you grow, the people that you will attract also into your life will be like you. So the more broken you are, the more broken people you will attract to yourself. But the more healed you are, the more mature you are, the more mature and healed people you will also attract to yourself. And so I think there's hope, okay, for that one.
Yeah, I think before we move on to the next question, one thing I want to add that I learned from my parents is we all have dream girls, right? Someone that we aspire to be able to have one day. But the biggest question we need to ask ourselves is, are we their dream guy?
Correct.
Right? We lay all these standards for the women, but do we meet those same standards?
Right.
Yes. And in the Bible, it says that the man, right, is supposed to be the one leading
Yeah.
the woman. And if the man is not worthy of leading, they'll just destroy the whole relationship.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want a
So-
godly woman, but are you a godly
Yeah,
man?
correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
You want Miss Right, but are you Mr. Right?
Right. The
Okay,
first
so-
bar of this episode.
So that's, we need to first work on ourselves. That's, I think, bottom line for this.
Yeah.
Okay, for why am I still single? But for those of you that want to remain single and you're happy being single, nothing wrong with that as
Yeah.
well.
So moving on, I mean, since it's connected to the next question, is there like a metric or like a like science if you know that you are destined to be single forever?
Oh, that's a good question.
And that's a tough question to to ask also.
I think when God spoke to man in Genesis, He said, "Go forth and multiply." You can't multiply by yourself,
Mm.
right? You need a woman to multiply. Therefore, I believe it's God's will for marriage. But at the same time, there are some that may be called to remain single. But what I guess to answer that, what I want to say is the normal is to get married. Now, you may have a call to be single, but that's a calling that is, I don't want to say outside of normal as though it were abnormal.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
not
say,
abnormal.
yeah.
Okay. But the natural route is to get married. Every so often, God may call a man or a woman to remain single. My opinion, this is not in the Bible, this is my opinion. I believe that the call to remain single is dependent on your calling in life. It's not simply because I just want to remain single,
Yeah.
because being in a relationship is too complicated, it's too tough, it's too heartbreaking, it's too this or that or whatever. Okay? That may be your reason, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's why you want to stay single. But if we're talking about God, then I believe that the natural route is people get married, and every so often God calls some to remain single because of the call on their life that will require them to remain single.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how I understand the scriptures and what I believe the scriptures teach about being single and getting married.
So that's God's original design.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
To
man
get
will
married.
find woman, they get married, they have children.
Yes. Because, Genesis 2, I think it's verse 18, says that it's not good for a man to be alone. Okay? And so the solution of God to man's aloneness is woman.
Yeah.
I will create a helper suitable for him. Okay? So that's the natural route. That's the natural way of life that men and women will get married. But then again, like I said, every so often, God may call someone to remain single simply because of the call that will require that person, man or woman, to remain single.
Okay, so since you touched on that, our third most asked question is what's the actual difference between being alone and being lonely?
And you have thoughts?
This is an interesting question because I asked that question. No, just kidding. But I was pondering on this question, Rene, recently. I think for me, the main difference between being alone and being lonely is if you're alone, you're physically alone, right? But that doesn't mean that you are looking for a particular partner, like a particular someone. You can be comfortable being alone. You can go on ano yung tawag dito? Dates alone. You can watch a movie alone. You can go to the restaurant and you're alone. Mag-isa ka lang. But that doesn't mean that you're lonely. Lonely for me means na parang I'm so lonely na kailangan ko ng kasama. I need someone else to be there for me. But if you're alone, you can be secured. But you're alone.
Yeah.
Diba? So I think that's the main difference.
I'm curious
for
what
me.
the going on dates alone looks like.
Yeah. No, I've
So Jeremiah, how are you? I'm good, thank
I
you.
talked you talk to yourself eh, no? Masarap ba yung chicken?
Okay,
masarap.
so I think there's some mental problem when you're talking to yourself and you start losing your own arguments.
No naman. Because I always win.
Kaya nag-aaway, you know?
Tapos, ano nangyari sa kanya, no?
What about
Yeah,
for you?
But that's for
Well,
me.
God said, like I just quoted, that it's not good for man to be alone. And the aloneness there is more because he's solo. He's
Solo,
by
right?
himself.
Yeah, physically.
He's solo.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Adam never prayed for a wife. You don't see that, at least not in recorded scripture. He never prayed for a wife. And the reason, I believe, is because he was not lonely. He was perfectly content in his aloneness, right? And so here's what I think loneliness is, and how loneliness can be dealt with. The first person that Adam had a relationship with was not Eve. It was God. God is the cure, if I can use that word, for loneliness. Only God can do that. So loneliness is an emotion. It's a feeling that we have. But here's the thing, and you brought it up when you were answering the question. Our desire to deal with loneliness is we look for someone. But the only one, here's the, and the problem is we usually look for another human being to think, because we think that that someone can cure my loneliness. When in fact, you can be in a relationship and still feel lonely. So the only one that can cure that is the presence of God in your life. The first person a man or a woman needs in their life is God. It was God first, and then God brought a woman to deal with the aloneness, not the loneliness, the aloneness. That's why God sovereignly made a choice. Okay, my son now, Adam, is ready to get married. I will bring a wife. He didn't ask for it, Adam. He didn't ask for it. He didn't pray for it. He was perfectly content. But when God said, go forth and multiply, he's not going to be able to do it by himself. So it's not good to be alone, because the command to multiply cannot be fulfilled by man alone. He needed help. So he brought a woman. The woman deals with the aloneness. God deals with the loneliness.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I agree. I know a lot of couples, and I also see it in so many Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
Where they're married, they're sleeping in the same bed, but their backs are facing each other.
Right.
At the corners of each other's beds. And they don't talk to each other, they just become roommates. And so they're not physically alone, and yet they feel so lonely. They don't talk, they don't communicate. And so having a partner doesn't necessarily address the loneliness. I feel like that's a deep work that needs to be filled first by a relationship with God,
Right.
which is the primary relationship that you first need,
Every human.
every
Yeah.
human. And you also need to learn how to heal from your wounds so that you can also communicate intentionally with your partner and let them in. Because if you never let them in, then you will always feel lonely with your own problems, your overthinking.
Yeah.
And so I think those are two very distinct things.
Yeah, I've counseled many couples where both or one of them will feel so lonely even though they're married. You know, and when they're out there, you know, in parties or events or whatever, they look like they're a really good couple, they're happy, they're smiling, and they're even holding each other. But when they get home, there's no real relationship, you know? And so they're not alone, but they're lonely
Yeah.
because there's no real connection.
Yeah.
And the problem, I think, is because they probably thought that I'm already lonely, but if I get married, I won't be lonely. I won't be lonely. It just deals with the aloneness. So yes, you are not alone. There's someone on the bed with you, and yet you're lonely because that's not the person that can cure that loneliness.
Now, before we move on to the next topic, there are three groups of people. Well, there might be more. There are people who are single but don't want to be single. They just can't wait to get out of that stage. There are people who are single but really content and comfortable. And there's another group where they are single but they don't want to have a relationship more because of a fear that's holding them back. Fear of commitment, fear of maybe the relationship of their parents that has failed. Now, regardless of how they feel, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of single people feel pressured.
Yeah.
They feel pressured by their peers. They feel pressured by their parents who say, when are you going to get married?
Yeah.
When will I have grandchildren? What's your message to these single people who feel so pressured to get into a relationship, even though maybe they don't feel ready for one?
What about you, Chester? Do you feel pressured? Whether it's by
What-
culture,
Tawa kayo dyan, ah. While you were asking, ang inisip ko, huwag niyo lalagyan ng highlight yung mukha ko. Ah. Well, I do feel pressured. I do feel pressured. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't
But-
feel any pressure
right
now.
Yeah, but I do feel pressured. But also,
but you're what, 12 years old, right?
no, I'm 15. I just turned 15. I just look like this because of my
Pressure.
So I aged fast. No, but I do feel pressure. But also, I'm really praying to God na He mends my heart and tends my heart not to rush anything. Because the last thing that I want is to succumb to that pressure and just get anyone
Yeah.
and hurt that particular person. No, which if I'm gonna be completely honest, I've been guilty of. Don't flash their names here. Yeah,
This
but
and
this,
this and this.
but yun yung ano, yun yung I think one thing na I personally hold dear, no? That thought na I'd rather be patient, work on myself, and trust on God first, work with my relationship with God first before I pursue someone. Kasi hindi lang ako yung kawawa eh.
Yeah.
Hindi lang sila yung kawawa. Pati ako kawawa eh. Because I'm not just wasting their time, I'm wasting my time. And not just that, it's the emotional investment that I put into those relationships, even though I know that I'm not ready. No. So I think that would be my answer. But pressure is good. Again, like we always say with the call to be providers, it's good. I think that pressure that I feel being single right now, it pushes me to develop myself more. So when God gives that particular person to me, I'm now ready because I already did the work. But then again, I want to speak to the men. We need to do the work. God will not do the work for us. No? So with
But
that,
He will help you.
He will help. He will help us.
Yeah.
But it's a two-way street. You know, God is patient. God will always move us, right? But we have to be the one to intentionally do that work. Yeah.
What about you, Jeremiah? What would be your message to
Well, I think
this group of people?
you can't control the people who are trying to pressure you. And I think in a sense, they have good motives. They just want to see that you're not alone, someone's going to take care of you. Or maybe the parents just really want to have grandchildren. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's your life. If you just jump into any relationship just to appease other people, you're the one who's going to live that life with that other person. You're the one who's going to face those consequences. You're the one who's going to pick up the pieces when things fall apart. And so my suggestion or my advice is, don't feel so pressured that you jump into a decision that you're not wholeheartedly choosing for yourself. I think because it's your life, move in your timeline. And what's harder than being single is being in a bad relationship.
Right.
And I know what that's like. Always fighting about little things, even the petty things. And there's no joy, no peace in that relationship. To the point that you just can't wait to break up. Right? You just want to be single again because of the regret that you have choosing the wrong person. So I think you need to be able to make that decision for yourself and don't let other people force you into a decision. What about you?
I'd like to look at it from a slightly different angle because both of you gave already good answers. I don't want to echo it anymore, okay? For the interest of time. I think that sometimes we feel pressured, and the pressure really is a pressure we place on ourselves. And we feel pressured because somebody's getting more advanced in age. You know, you're already in your 30s, maybe in your 40s, and still single. And yet, there's a part of you that wants to get married. You want to get into a relationship. But you're also scared, like what Chester was saying, you're also scared that you might hurt someone, you might be the source of a broken relationship and all of that. What I'd like to say is this. First of all, I think there has to be enough humility on our part. And for men, that's hard. Okay? We're very ego driven. But enough humility that if in this relation, let's say you get into a relationship, whether you feel ready or not, you get into a relationship. But if I'm humble enough to say, you know what, I was wrong there, you're right. Or maybe I was right, you're wrong, but deal with it gently without destroying your girlfriend or your wife, right? For someone like that, because you cannot work on yourself to the point where you are perfect, because that's not going to happen. So now the question is, at what point do I say I'm ready? What's the measure? What's the standard? And what are the metrics, right? So here's what I think. We don't want to get married too late if the plan is to get married. You don't want to get married too late because you need to mentor your children.
Right.
You need to be able to connect to them. And so marrying at a reasonable, whatever age that is, and I think maybe late 20s to 30s will be good,
Pasok.
right? But with enough humility to say, in this case, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And it helps when you have a relationship with God, because now you can go to God and say, you know what, Lord, I hurt my wife this way. It's my fault. You need to change me. And now you have someone, not just a friend, that you can voice out your hurt or whatever, your own transgression, as it were, but someone who can actually change you. Your friend can say, yeah, I understand. And that's about all they can do. They cannot change you. God can. So marriage is a difficult relationship, but it's not impossible. You will never be 100% ready. Even if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, you'll never be 100% ready. But I believe in working relationships. It can work. But that requires humility on both sides. And that also requires a measure of maturity. For me to say I was wrong and not feel like I was devalued or I'm less of a man because I'm willing to admit I'm wrong, right? Or she will disrespect me because I admitted I'm wrong. No, I don't think so. I don't think women will do that. So I believe that we need to have enough humility and willingness to grow to get into a relationship, and then when you get into one, work on it together. Because you will never be perfect. Otherwise, we'll always be afraid. We'll always be, maybe I'm not ready enough. Maybe I'll hurt someone. You will. You will hurt someone because we're broken. We will hurt someone, and that someone will hurt us. But that should not be enough reason to break out of that relationship. I'm talking about marriage. But if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, it becomes too toxic, maybe you should break off, right? And that's why having a mentor to guide you is important.
Right.
Because it's hard to navigate on your own.
So is it correct that to be that mature and to grow, that's what you do when you're single?
Yes.
That's why it's very important.
Yes, that's the season. Don't rush out of being single, but it helps when you have a mentor, a dad, a mom, uncle, mature friend that can speak into your life, not a peer. Okay, not a peer. You don't get advice from your barkada. Okay, those will be the wrong persons to go to. You got to get someone that's been there, done that. Someone that's married, someone in a strong relationship that can speak into your life and guide you, whether you're talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, or you're talking about marriage.
What about to grow as a single? Who do we look for?
A mentor. A mentor. Because
Right.
remember,
Still the
before
dad.
they were, yes, before they were
Oh,
married.
before they were married, they were
they were
single.
single.
Ah, okay.
Exactly.
So they can guide you through that whole
Yes.
process.
And even if their single life was bad, hopefully they learned when they were married so that now they have the wisdom to speak to single men and women
Right.
to guide them through that phase in their life, that season of their life, to prepare them for the next season.
See, here's the interesting thing. the difference between our generations. Your generation, a lot of people just couldn't wait to get married right after college. They got married in their early 20s, some eloped in their teen years, and a lot of the newer generations see the failure of the marriages. How like more than 50% end up in divorce. And so we swung to the other side and said, okay, you know what, let me focus on my singleness, let me work on myself, prepare myself. And maybe to others, it might seem like too long of a season. But the numbers are interesting because 63% of single Gen Zs say that they're prioritizing self-care over finding a partner right now. And yet 80% of Gen Z singles believe they will find true love versus 57% of all singles from different generations. And I think that's really interesting because it shows that this new generation wants to be able to prepare themselves better
Yeah.
in the hopes that their relationship will be more successful.
And
Now
I think
the
it's a good thing.
question is, what does that preparation look like?
Yeah.
Because most young men focus on, let me build a really big body. Let me build a really big bank account. And we look at the more superficial things. But the studies show that even women, more than the provision and the protection, they're looking for honesty, kindness, compassion, which are not necessarily things we tend to focus on
Yes.
or develop. And so now that we've laid out that the singleness stage is the most important stage before getting into the next level, which is having a partner, what are things that we need to develop while being single? Like, why is it so important?
You know, you said something very interesting. We want to prepare ourselves. And I think it's a good thing that the Gen Z, they have that mindset. Because my generation, we made a lot of mistakes. We also did a lot of good things, but we also made a lot of mistakes. Now, the problem is when a young person says, I need to prepare myself, where? Like you said, big body, big bank account, but is that the right preparation? You're trying to prepare yourself for something that you have no idea what that thing is. It's like, for example, I say, okay, guys, we're going to the beach. And you've never been to the beach, right? We're going to the beach. Get ready. And so now we're going to be there for 1 week. I don't know what the beach is, right? And maybe I need to bring my snow parka, right? I need to bring my boots and I need to bring my hiking gear and stuff like that because you've never been there. So yes, you are preparing, but you have no idea what's up ahead.
Yeah.
So you're doing all the preparations, but for the wrong thing. See? So that's where a mentor comes in. So they say, a beach is like this and like this, and you're doing all the wrong things. You leave your parka, leave your snow gear. So, no, wait, I'm just being prepared, because you never know, right? It might be cold in the beach. But I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. You're bringing all the wrong things. And that's where we need a mentor. It's good that the younger generation now are more cautious than our generation. We flung caution to the wind and let's just, the James Dean kind of living wild and free and all that stuff like that. But I think it's good that they're being cautious. They're being more they're being more prepared, but they still need mentors.
Okay, so let's say you're single, you understand the importance of being single. In your case, you are single.
Yes.
Now, let's answer really quickly before we dive into this topic a bit more. The most asked questions. And I want to start with you. How do you stay content? Well, the question is, how do I stay content while single without giving up on wanting a relationship?
I think to answer that question, you really need to see the big picture. You need to see the importance of each stage so that you're going to be content in that particular stage that you're in. Because the only reason that you're not going to be content in being single is if you think that this stage is not important. If this stage is not playing a big role of your future, of becoming a husband, having that partner. But in order for you to stay content in this season of your life, I highly suggest to see this more of like a foundation. Actually, no, not more of like, it is the foundation of your future relationship. So in that way, you're now content because you know that whoever I become in this season of my life, that's gonna affect my marriage, my kids, my calling, and this is the perfect time because if you mess up, then you mess up. Walang ibang casualties. You don't have a wife yet, you don't have kids, so you have this breathing space to learn, right? And my second answer to that is seek God first. I think that is the most important thing that a single man should do. Just like what Tito said, no, na just Adam saw God first. And if God already created that particular order, why should we go against that order? Right? So I think that's how I would answer that question. Like, how do you stay content? Because being single is not a punishment. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's more of an opportunity, right? So that's how I would answer that
Great point. You have anything else to add to that?
question.
Yeah, I think on a more practical note, definitely having a relationship with God is the most important. But on a more practical note, one of the things that helped me was an exercise. I can't even remember who told me to do this, but I did it. He said, write your own eulogy. When you die, what would you like and I was still single. What would you like your wife to say about you? What would you like your kids to say about you? What would you like your best friends to say about you? And I discovered that as I took the time to really write that, and it's not I just sat down and started writing randomly. I really took the time to think about it. I want my wife to say Joseph was a man who was like this and this. My dad was a man who was like this. This is my best friend. He was there for me when, and so on and so forth. And I realized that the things that I wrote down were the things I valued. So one of the things I wanted both my wife and my kids to be able to say was I was patient with them and I gave them time. If they had a problem, I was there for them. I realized I was a very impatient person. Typical Spanish temper. The slightest thing will cause me to drop an atomic bomb on you. And I needed to work on that. Why? Because I value the fact that my kids and my wife will say that I am a patient man. So I realized that that was a value. I needed to work on that. And so when I had a relationship with God, that's one of the things I brought before God. I want to be a patient man. Teach me how to be patient. Break away whatever causes me to be triggered so that I explode instead of be calm, be still, listen to the person, don't judge first, and so on and so forth. But that gave me a GPS, as it were, a pathway, because now I know what to work on. It's not just about having big muscles and a big bank account, but my character. I want to be that patient husband. I want to be that patient father. And as I developed my relationship with God and discovered that this is what God wants, then I added, I also want to be a godly man. I also want to be holy, dedicated to God, and show my kids, my wife, the ways of God. So I added that. That gave me something very practical to work on. And some of them I worked on while I was already married, because I can't be 100% perfect, patient rather, without a wife. She taught me patience by doing things that got me impatient. So now I had opportunity to practice that patience. Same thing with my kids. When Jeremiah would do things precisely, the things I said not to do, I needed to be there, explain. When I can just bop him on the head, punch him in the face like my dad would me. But I realized that's not the way.
Right.
And so I needed to practice that patience with them.
I always knew I was a tool to help refine him.
The sandpaper in my life.
So
See?
thank you.
Indeed,
Thank you.
actually, you begin to become grateful for the people who were the sandpaper of your life
Wow.
because they made you better.
That's a new term, huh? The sandpapers of your life.
Yeah. Papel de lija.
Papel de lija.
Yeah.
Alright.
What about this next question? How do I stop feeling behind everyone else who's already married and in a relationship?
Why don't you answer that question?
Well, you know what? One thing I realized is that I know a lot of unhappy married people and unhappy people in a relationship.
And what do you feel like? What comes in your mind when you see those?
Well, when you really see the picture within and not just the facade that they create outside,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't make me want to jump into something, right? Because I feel like there are a lot of people, and I'm not judging them, but there are others who just rush into a relationship for the sake of being into a relationship without fully understanding the weight of a relationship or the weight of what marriage actually is. And so when I was still single, I am no longer single, but when I was,
Shout out
Shout
again,
out.
Bianca.
Bianca
count
Hillerstam.
number 1.
when I was still single, I really just wanted to focus on developing myself because especially when I started to meet Bianca, know Bianca, I realized, wow, she is so much more than no, she deserves so much more than who I was. And that scared me, it intimidated me, but I also realized that even though she deserves someone better, better doesn't have to mean someone else. You can work your way to becoming
Exactly.
that better person.
Exactly.
It requires more work. It requires you to be intentional. But if the person is worth it, you will put in that work. And so I needed to figure out how do I develop myself right now, even before we start dating. And I remember I even went to my parents in my 20s because I kept every relationship hidden from them in the past because I just felt like you don't
It's
really
not like
open
we
up.
didn't know.
You weren't so sneaky.
But to me, it's like it's not really something you open up to about your parents. And so finally, I met Bianca and I realized, like, wow, I need to work. I mean, she wants someone like Jesus, which is like the tallest order you could ever ask for, right? But I told myself, I will walk like Jesus, talk like Jesus, love like Jesus if I have to. And so I went to my parents and I said, I don't really know how to court. I don't really know how to date. I don't even know how to go about this and be mature enough to be able to be deserving for such a woman.
Uh-huh.
And so I used that season talking to my parents, learning from them, so that I could build myself up into the man that she deserves. And they were so willing, especially my mom. The moment I asked, she said, let me be the one. I will show you.
Amen. Amen.
She said, I will show you the
You were
way.
saying, Amen.
Yeah,
To a
do
woman's
that,
heart.
Do that. That's it. Yeah. I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, because it makes sense. I mean, who better to learn from about a woman than a woman?
Correct.
They know themselves much better than we men know them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so to me, you know, if you feel left behind, don't feel so pressured by the timelines of your friends just because they're getting married, just because they have a long-term relationship, because you don't know the quality of the relationship. But you can determine the quality of yours if you put in the work while you're still single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would speak from a place of kasi yung sa'yo parang from a place of light na parang I want to be, someone better. But ako, I would say, if you don't want to make the mistakes that your parents made, don't rush it. Work on yourself. You can also use that kasi you can also use that, you know what, I don't want my kids to witness screaming at home. I don't want my kids to experience financial. Of course, it will not be an upward hill, right? But there's a difference between having faith but also preparing enough for that particular season, right? So I would say don't rush it because hindi mo rin naman alam if that or you never really know if that person that you're looking at, that relationship, like you mentioned, Tito, they can look good outside. They can post all of the pictures in social media,
All curated.
all curated, all smiling. But behind those cameras, you never really know.
Yeah.
So why compare?
Yeah.
Diba? Why compare?
And here you can see, like with Jeremiah, he came to us because we need mentors,
Yeah.
that hopefully will speak the right things, right, into your life to guide you. But this is actually a good question, when you feel behind. Notice, let's say you're walking, right, on a sidewalk, and there will be people in front of you, there will be people behind you, right? You're all walking in the same direction. But you notice you're not worried about why am I behind this person?
Correct.
Okay? Because I'm not racing against that person.
Mm.
I'm just walking here. Now, if you're in a race, like a marathon, then you're going to wonder, why am I behind this person? I need to speed up because I want to win. I'm in a race. But is marriage a race? Because if it is, you will feel behind.
Great point.
And feeling behind is a feeling. It's just a feeling. You're not necessarily behind.
Yeah.
Right? Feelings come and go. Right? Because you might be behind someone, but you're also in front of someone. And the one behind you might even be older than you. And they're the ones feeling, why am I behind these two guys? That one's 20, this is 30, I'm 40. Right? Why am I? But you're not racing with that person. You're only focused on the one in front of you.
Correct.
Why? Because you're not in a race.
Mm.
You're not in a race with anyone. Life is a race that you run at your pace. Hey, that rhymes. Yeah, no?
Third bar.
But I'm not competing against you guys. I'm not competing against the team here. I'm not competing against anyone. My timeline is established by God. That's where I measure myself. Am I where God wants me to be? And if I am, and I'm single, then I'm okay. And if I'm married, right, but I'm also within God's timeline, then I'm okay. It's not whether you're married or single, because then you're putting pressure on yourself.
Mm.
Don't force yourself to do something that you feel totally unprepared to do. But don't also let fear stop you from moving into the next season of your life, because fear is going to get in the way. And somebody once told me, your breakthrough is on the other side of your fear. You got to overcome that fear. It's different if you know you're not ready or you just feel afraid, but you're not using the right metrics.
Yeah.
And that's where a mentor comes in. Because a mentor might say, you know what? You're actually ready to get married. You're just too scared because of this and that and history and, these other examples, but you are ready. How do you know I'm ready? Well, I can see better than you right now. That's why a mentor is so important.
And it just shows how important this stage really is, that you don't want to rush through it. Because, one of my mindsets before was that, if it might sound bad, but if you at your current state can access this quality of woman, but you invest in yourself, you build yourself, you add more value to yourself, then by the time you come out of that season of preparation and growth, you'll be able to access a much better quality of woman that
Yeah.
you deserve, that will actually build your life.
Yeah.
Because you only attract what you currently are.
Correct.
Right?
And that's a two-way street. It works for women as well, not just for men. As a woman, if you improve yourself, you will attract a better crop of men into your life than getting the jerks.
Yeah.
See?
And at the same time, since we all know what it's like to be in a bad relationship, you also don't want to be so broken that you become the reason why that other person needs to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you end up traumatizing them with your previous traumas.
Yeah.
And so now that we've understand that this stage is so important, the next topic that I want to be able to discuss is what exactly are a few things that men need to develop. Okay, I know I need to change, I know I need to grow, but what do I need to build so that I can have a better relationship? Because the numbers show that 30% of Gen Z report that lack of confidence is the main barrier to dating. And only 55% of Gen Z singles feel ready for a relationship. 45% say that they're not ready yet. But how will they know they're even ready if they don't know, we don't know what to actually prepare for? So I wanted to ask, because there are four main things that we want to be able to cover here. Number one, that you mentioned with Adam, is a relationship with God. Why is that the most important thing a man needs in his singleness season?
Well, I want to say, first of all, that we need God whether you are single or married. Okay? You need God. God is the only person that really has your best interest in his heart for you. He will never steer you wrong. He will never lead you wrong. He will never tell you to do something that will destroy you. The Bible says that the thief came to steal, kill, and destroy, but I, Jesus, have come that you might have life and have it abundantly. So, and you will find a plethora of scriptures that talk about how in His presence there are pleasures forevermore. There is fullness of joy. There is liberty and freedom. So God wants you really to have a good life. Not good meaning happy, problem-free. That's not the good I'm talking about. I'm talking about biblically good. One that is fruitful, one that glorifies Him. Okay? So the relationship with God is not just for my single life, no? But it's the first relationship I need, because He's the one that will heal my brokenness. He's the one that will mentor me. He's the one that will father me. It's good if you also have a good father. And God can use your dad and other older men in your life, and this is true for women as well. God can use your dad and other men, older men in your life, to speak into you. Godly men, men of wisdom and character that will speak into your life. If you think that you can navigate through life on your own, you will mess up. 100% guaranteed. You will mess up. It doesn't mean that you won't be successful in business. You might be, but you'll mess up at home. Or you might be good at home, but you're messing up financially. God wants you to have a life that pleases Him because He's good. Again, that doesn't mean you'll be a millionaire. It might not, right? But you need that relationship because He's the one that makes you whole. He's the one that will guide you. He's the one that will prepare you for that next stage of life. It was God that said, Adam, it's not good for you to be alone anymore. I'm going to take care of that.
Great point.
But I have a question for our viewers that want that relationship with God. What would be the first practical step to having that relationship? Is it going to church, praying? What would be one step?
I would suggest that you go to a Christian friend or relative and ask him how to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, with God through Jesus Christ. Okay, that would be the first thing. Because if I say go to church, you don't know whether this church is a good church. You've never been there.
Right.
You don't know what their theology is. You don't know what their doctrines are, right? But you go to a friend with a solid relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And I keep on saying that because it can't be through any other mediator. It has to be through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
He's the only way to God. Now, then ask him or her to share the gospel with you. And then surrender your life, but that's not it. That's not the finish line. You need to be discipled. Because you need to know the ways of God, the ways of the kingdom of God. That's where you start.
And the second thing a man needs to develop is self-awareness. I mean, it's interesting because we can't wait to date a woman, but you've never dated yourself. You don't even know your own triggers, your own traumas, the things that make you tick, your gifts, your strengths.
Yeah.
And I think that's something a man needs to understand so that when he comes into a relationship, he knows how to better prepare for that relationship. I mean, communication is one of our weaknesses. But if we can have the confidence to be able to tell a woman, you know what, I didn't mean to blow up or I didn't mean to shut down, but when you talk to me this way, this is how I tend to react. And so maybe the next time, if we can approach this situation this other way, then I think we'd have a much more fruitful conversation and a much more peaceful relationship. But how can you even say something like that if you don't know yourself.
Right.
You don't know what works for you and what things that you need to change and adjustments that you need to make. And so self-awareness is something that I believe is so important and needs to develop while you're still single.
But we also have to understand that it's not just about you triggering me, so don't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
I need to heal from that so
Yes.
that it doesn't even trigger me anymore.
Great
Right.
point.
Right? Because
But you
otherwise,
need to know what to heal from.
right? Because otherwise, everybody has to adjust to me.
Great point.
Right? So just saying.
And that comes from self-awareness.
Yes.
And I think on top of that, after being self-aware, because now you know, right, what you need to work on and everything, the next thing that comes with that is discipline.
Men
Right.
need discipline.
Many disciplines, because it's one thing to know what you need to work on, but it's another thing to work on those things, right? Because how can you heal from something if you just leave it there, right? And that's where the discipline comes.
Yeah, don't sweep it under
Don't
the rug.
sweep it under the rug. You have to be disciplined. You have to control your urges, control your emotions, have responsibility over yourself, over your thoughts, over your actions, and that all boils down into having that discipline. Because if you cannot tend to the things that you learned while being self-aware, how can you take care of a significant other?
Yeah.
Right? And that comes with responsibility, with the discipline, right? So I think
Yeah.
on top of that, you have to be disciplined.
Great point.
Yeah.
If you can't take care of yourself, what makes you think you can take care of somebody else?
Yeah.
Exactly. But the other thing that we also need to develop is our character as a gentleman. I remember when I was still in studying in Zurich, and I really loved the place because one of the things that my mom taught me was how to be a gentleman. Opening doors, holding the seat, and many other things. And it gave me an unfair edge against the locals in Zurich when I was studying there. Because at least this was then, back in the 80s. When a girl and a guy go out on a date, the guy, when they arrive at the restaurant, the guy will just go out of the car, and if she wants to look at her face one last time, make sure that her face is all properly fixed and everything, he'll just walk into the restaurant. Won't even.
Imagine if you lock the car while she's inside.
He'll say, make sure you lock the car. And he'll just go in, go to the table, and just wait for her. And she will walk in by herself. So it gave me an unfair advantage because that's not how I was taught to treat a woman. So I would go to her side, open the door, and they would be shocked that I was treating her like a princess.
Right.
Because it was not normal. And if she was still there fixing her lipstick or her hair, whatever, I'll wait. I'll wait for her, and then when she comes out, I close the door, we walk up the stairs, I hold her, open the door, and she's completely shocked. So it became so easy for me to date because people talk. And they said, oh, there's this guy, and he treats us so well, and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that just as a ploy to have more dates, but we have to learn to treat women well. See? So, it's not because they're weak and insecure and dumb and stupid and so, no, not at all. In fact, they're equals, but they're also women, and there's a part of them that wants to still be treated that way. I know there are a lot of independent women that can open their door for themselves, order in a restaurant and stuff like that on their own, and that's okay, that's wonderful. But you know how to treat them.
Yeah.
You will still be gentle with them, you will still be chivalrous, you will still open the door for them, and so on and so forth. Because that is a dying breed, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's a dying breed. A lot of men, a lot of young men, don't know how to be with the opposite sex. They don't know how to talk to them, they don't know how to hold them, treat them. They don't know. And it's not their fault.
Actually, they treat them like a bro.
That's the thing. They treat them like one of the guys, right? And some women don't mind that. Some women prefer that, but not all. I think a vast majority of women still want to be treated like women and given the respect that they feel they deserve. And I think they should be given that respect.
Yeah.
But see, nobody grows up a gentleman. You need to be taught how to be a gentleman. I'm grateful that my mom took the time to teach me these things. I mean, she carried her abanico, her fan with her, the folding fan.
Yeah.
And if I don't open the door, she'll spank me on the hand.
Right.
And if I don't open the door, I just go into the car, she'll wait outside.
Wow.
And it's like, Mom, hurry up. And she'll just be there. And I have to run out, open her door, and pack, she'll hit me again. So I don't forget until I learned. Going in, if I go in first, she'll wait outside until I come back out, open the door for her, let her go in first, and then I follow. But she was patient with her abanico, right? Like this. But she was patient. She taught me and taught me and taught me until I got it right. And I am grateful for that, because that was something now that I was able to pass on to my two sons and to my daughter. So I would open the door for her, so she will know what it's like to be treated as a lady, not one of the bros, right? And then I would tell them, open the door for your sister.
That was hard because
That was hard for them.
doing it for my mom, that was easy. But when I'm always fighting my sister and I'm forced to open her doors, I'm like, but she's not a woman. She's a sister.
You would reason.
Yeah.
But I
But then
had to do
again,
it.
that's discipline.
That's discipline.
Yeah.
How
Even
about the
though I didn't
feelings?
want to.
It's
How about the
discipline
feelings?
or they get disciplined.
Right.
You
right,
better do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I didn't give them a choice. No, you will open that door.
But that's so true though, because like it is a big hack. Not that you're doing it to manipulate, but if you do act and live as a gentleman, you will naturally, easily stand out from 99% of the guys.
That's true.
You don't even have to say anything. Just the
I
way
remember
you take
when
care.
you would do it in school,
Yeah.
right?
What, with who?
With everyone.
Everyone.
Ah,
The
talaga?
staff,
Doesn't matter
the
who.
teachers,
The staff, the teachers, the students.
students.
As long as that person is a woman, he will open the door, let them go in first. Why? Because of the training
Training.
that he went through with his sister,
right.
which he did not want to do. So it reached a point where he wasn't even thinking about it. If there was a woman following behind, he will open the door and let her go in first.
Right.
Not open the door and then just walk in and not even hold it open for her, even if he went in first.
Yeah.
See? I mean, you don't do things like that. Even if you don't know who the woman is. I mean, even in the mall, when we go in, if I know there's a woman behind me, either I open the door for her or I go in and wait for her to walk if she's several steps behind me, but she's going to walk in this direction. I hold it for her. If it's a guy, I just let go.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's a woman, I hold it for her. Why? That was my training. I don't think twice about it. That's the way gentlemen should be. Now, even if the woman does not say thank you, most of them do, because they liked it.
Yeah.
See? But even if they don't say thank you, I'm not doing it simply because you'll thank me. I'm doing it because I'm me. I'm a gentleman.
Yeah.
This is what I do, whether you appreciate it or not.
Yeah, and you know what? Just to add really quickly before we move on, I know a lot of young men are frustrated with the quality of women that they claim the world has today. Because women are like this, women are like that. But the truth is, it's probably just because you're finding the wrong people. But if you find a lady, a respectable lady, who knows how to treat a man, who knows how to live, who knows how to take care of herself, your perspective will completely change.
Yeah.
But you'll never deserve a lady unless you first become a gentleman.
Right.
And there are far more ladies than you realize. You're just not attracting them because you got to be a gentleman first.
Yeah, there are about 12 so far. I'm kidding.
Maybe 10 after this episode. Yeah, but then, again, that's the importance of the singleness stage.
Yes.
That's the training
Yes.
for you to be a gentleman
That's
right.
while you're single.
Now, right now, we have our blind box right here, and we have 3 questions sent in that need help talking about this particular topic.
Because we want to be more in real life situations.
So why don't we start first with you?
Yung tatlo ata dito galing sa team natin eh. Tinanong.
Okay. While Chester and Jeremiah are looking at their questions, this is actually a very good question. Here's a person that said, I'm unmarried and constantly feeling behind. looking for advice on reinventing myself. So this person said that they're unmarried, they're struggling, they want to become a person who learns more quickly, thinks clearly, speaks confidently, communicates well. Wow, this is a person that really wants to improve themselves, and this is a wonderful thing if you want to do that. The advantage today compared to my time, which was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? You have YouTube. And you can actually learn a lot of these skills, because these are skills to be able to speak confidently, communicate well. These are skills that anyone can learn for free on the internet. And so you want to learn these things, go ahead. Look for reputable people on the internet that can teach you all these skills that you want. Now, as far as being unmarried is concerned, one of the things, whether you're male or female, the dynamic is a little bit different. Okay, if you're male or female. So I'm going to assume that you're male, because this is primarily for men, right? The Bible tells us, and I know this is not the context, but the Bible does tell us, seek and you shall find. Right? It's talking about prayer, among other things, but we're talking about relationships. It's hard to find something that you're not seeking. If you want to seek a relationship, then you gotta go out there, you gotta mingle, and start talking to women. Start talking to them. Make friends. It's always good to start as friends, because if you try and get into an exclusive relationship right away, you don't know what that person is like. And once you're committed, it's hard to back out. And when you do back out, you break hearts. And who knows, that person might really be a really good friend to you. But you messed it up because you got into a relationship and then now you want to back out and you hurt that person. See? So be a friend first. Know what you like. What do I want in a man? What do I want in a woman? Right? And then that's what you're looking for. But that's going to be in our next episode. So we're going to get into that soon. Follow us.
I love how he pointed to me when you said that. About
Well,
messing up.
Actually, I was looking like this, but one finger is like that.
What about you, Chester? What's
All
yours?
right. Mine, okay, here's the title. As a 32-year-old male, napag-iwanan na ba ako? Sa mga katulad kong ka-age range here, I need your advice. Problem, feeling ko napag-iwanan na ako sa buhay, especially sa love life. I mean, genuine love. All my life, I've been a breadwinner of the family. Di ako nagkaroon ng maayos na love life because ang isip ko lang ay buhay, school, until college, and magkaroon ng work and to support my family and siblings. Di ako nanliligaw dahil wala akong pera. May konting sex life, pero later, part na ng buhay ko. Hindi ko na-experience yung thrill noon and just enjoying my youthful days. I'm feeling the sun is setting already and wala na akong makilala kasi halos lahat daw ng batchmate niya may asawa na or may partner. Nasa corporate ako now, may magandang income naman, may magandang posisyon sa company, pero di ko alam para wala na akong pag-asa. Sana nung 21 years old pa lang ako, nag-asawa na ako. Nakakahinayang yung panahon. Ang bigat sa dibdib. I tried dating organic pero wala talaga. Try dating apps, olats pa rin. All right. I would say, unang-una sa lahat, bro, kung sino ka man, wala na tayong magagawa sa nakaraan eh. Right? Just treat that as a learning lesson. No, you cannot do parang for me sayang din kasi yung oras if you just dwell on your past. You know what I would suggest? Since you have an income naman, since kumikita ka naman, since you're earning well, you said, I think the best thing to do here is to invest that income in yourself, right? To make yourself that valuable man. So when you try to go dating, you will be attracting more valuable women. Because as you said, bro, and this is not to condemn you, brother, kung sino man, it's because you said you tried dating.
Johnson.
Johnson. May nickname ka ba dito? Ikaw naman to eh. Because you said you tried dating organic and tried dating apps, wala pa rin. So, I think it's instead of looking at your situation, look at yourself, right? Instead of looking at the mistakes that you did, look at yourself. Why is no one, reciprocating my interest? So again, bro, it's not too late for you. 32 is so early. If you got married when you were 21, you were just probably rushing that. You were young. Alam mo yun, baka wala ka pang trabaho nun eh. Diba? So that's my advice for you, bro. It's not too late. Invest your income in yourself and become a more valuable man.
Let me just say this: 32 is not sunset.
It's
The
so
sun
young,
is not sunset.
right?
That's very young.
That's
It's not sunset. I'm twice your age, and I don't feel like it's sunset for me. Lalo na for you.
You're right. It's still sunrise for you.
Exactly.
So, bro, man, don't lose hope, brother. What about you?
Mine is from Averino Inferno. I think if you stay single for a long time, you become so comfortable being alone that you don't want to be in a relationship anymore. After feeling lonely for a while, you come out not wanting a partner. What should I do? Well, my advice to you, first and foremost, is if you really want to be in a relationship, but you just feel so comfortable not being in a relationship anymore, I think number one, comfort is not the goal in life in general. Comfort is something we need when we are uncomfortable, but seeking comfort is not something that men should necessarily be doing. Because we were built for challenges. We were built to build, we were built to do so many other things. And comfort oftentimes is the enemy of progress in life. And so yes, relationships will be uncomfortable. It will require work. It will require you to leave your comfort zone and grow for another person. But out of that comes forth a better version of you, a more intentional version of you, a wiser version of you. So for me, if comfort is what's holding you back right now, I don't think you should allow it to hold you back. I think you should be strong enough and brave enough to be able to push past that comfort zone and do something amazing with your life and find that amazing woman that you've been looking for, because it's not impossible. With God, there is always hope. You'll be able to grow through this season and you will be able to find the right woman who will help take you to the next level in life. Because you can go far alone, but you can go even further with the right woman in your life.
That's true. When I just want to add to what your last statement, when God said it's not good for a man to be alone, I will create a helper. We, as men, we can only go so far as a single person, unless you're called to be single, okay? Then your destiny involves you remaining single. But if that's not your calling, to remain single, then you can only go so far. You need a woman to help you. The aloneness of man was a problem that was solved by God through a woman. And she now will be responsible to push you further, because there will be times when you feel like quitting. And a good woman will keep her eyes on God and will encourage you, push you, provoke you, and do whatever it takes so that you don't quit and you do everything that God ordained for you to do, so that at the end of your life you will hear those words, "Well done, good and faithful servant."
And so the bottom line here is, there's nothing wrong with being single. But if you want to be able to have a fruitful and beautiful relationship one day, then you need to make the most. Sorry, let me say that again. Then you need to make the most out of this stage, because the singleness stage is the most important stage of your life. So use this to develop yourself, develop your character, become more self-aware, develop a relationship with God, become a gentleman, and develop discipline as well, so that you're not only responsible for your life, but you'll learn how to become responsible for other people as well. And all of that is learned while you're still single, so that when you do have a relationship, you have so much to offer in the table for that other person. But there's nothing wrong with you. We know that even if you are in your 30s or your 40s, you are not left behind, because this is not a race with other people.
No man left behind.
No man left behind.
So again, if you like this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, maybe about singleness or maybe your struggles, please do comment them down below and we will try our best to answer them for you. And of course, don't forget to share this to a single person that you believe that will find the love of their life soon.
And we are so grateful for those of you that have been sharing our podcast. We know that this has reached Africa, it has reached Canada, it has reached Singapore and many other places because of the comments that we have received. And we are so grateful for what you are doing. It gives us the encouragement that we need to keep on going, showing up, and making these podcasts week after week to give you the best possible information and basically just a journey together with you so that we can be the man that God called us to be. So we're going to see you in our next episode. God bless you. Bye.